Well, lovely people. It's Saturday night here in Sheffield. It's around, it's about 7 o'clock. Starting my delivery shift on Uber Eats and Deliveroo. Already got first order in. I was only out like 30 seconds, or I'd only turned on the app for 30 seconds, and got a double order in from a Indian restaurant and a Japanese restaurant, I think. Not sure. Saudi Japanese, but we'll see when we get there. It's paying about £8. Not sure how far it's going in total. But I took it. Seemed like a decent one. Stopped me vegetating in front of the TV, watching World Cup action games, which I don't really have much invested in. But of course, as soon as you start watching it, you're like, yeah, I'm watching this. So yeah, I was watching the Canada-Morocco game. I don't really give a shit if who wins it, but of course, you know. As any middle-aged man with a vague interest of sports will probably testify, any excuse to get out of doing anything else. Watching football is a damn fine way to avoid any serious household tasks. Ooh, let's pop in and pick up from here. Bamboo card. Hello. Have you got 4987? Thank you. Hello. Just want to scan. Oh, it's a biggie. Thank you. Thank you. All right, that's the first one picked up. Let's go and pick up the second one. It's only 1.5 miles. I think it's down in the city centre. Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about, I suppose, respect, dignity. Oof, heavy subjects for a motor vlog doing food delivery, but I was having a chat with a delivery driver earlier today, and he was telling me about some of his woes, and he said that he was currently, I think, in dispute with Uber Eats or Deliveroo because a customer had basically spat on him. He tried to deliver some alcohol and asked for the ID, and they wouldn't give it to him, and he said he wouldn't give him the alcohol, and then this customer got very, very irate and had a good old loogie on him. So yeah, pretty unpleasant. And you do hear tales and like this a little bit from different delivery drivers. I've had a few occasions where people have got a bit irate with me. And sometimes it's not even the customers, just sort of random people in the street will be just like, yeah, fuck you, and wanker and all that kind of stuff. And it might just be just random kids mouthing off, but it does sometimes seem a bit more directed towards delivery drivers than other folk. I suppose there is this issue of just how is this job sort of perceived by people, really, and how much respect there is for the people who do the job. And and I think there's a whole sort of triangle of responsibility here. There's the people who do the job, the delivery drivers themselves. There's the customers, obviously, who you're delivering to, and then there's the restaurants and the takeaways who you're picking up from. And I suppose you could also add the company who are running all this, Deliveroo and Just Eat and Uber Eats, and because they're the ones ultimately organising everything. And it does sometimes feel it's a little bit of a race to the bottom with all of these people. Like, who can behave the worst? And I think there is a sort of a perception of this job that it is very much at kind of the lower rung of society in terms of both sort of status and pay and respect. And I think there's the idea that, delivery drivers, they can be treated however you want, really. Although I have to say, my experience is that, the vast majority of customers are really, really decent folk. Really nice. You are kind of meeting them often in sort of a positive atmosphere. They've ordered some decent food they're waiting for, and as long as you bring it to them and you haven't spilt it all, and you've got to get it to them reasonably quick, they're normally in quite a positive mood about the whole thing. Anyhow, let's just go and pick up this one, and then I'll rattle on a bit more about this. But yes, it's 7527. That's okay. Is it 2 bags? Yeah. All right, let's go drop with this first one. This is about 3 miles away. So yeah, I think before I did this job, I think I just... Yeah, I don't think I had a particularly sort of high opinion of delivery drivers. I just assumed it was a job that people did because they couldn't find any other job. And I think the assumption, again, is a lot of people who were working illegally doing it. It was a way of getting off-book money and that kind of thing. And I think there is still an element of that, although that's been clamped down on quite a bit, I think. And I think there's far fewer people working illegally on the platform. Deliveroo and Uber Eats Just Eat have done quite a bit to make sure that there's a lot of verification of ID and Face ID fairly frequently, which I don't mind. It can be annoying at times, but if the idea is to make sure that everyone working on it is doing it legally, then I think that's probably a good thing. That aside, I mean, I think the first thing is, regardless of how other people treat you, how other the customers or restaurants or the platforms themselves, as a delivery driver, I think you've just got a bit of respect for yourself and for the job, and if you're going to do it, do it properly, and if you do it properly, there's a good chance you'll get a bit more respect from certainly from the customers and from the takeaways. Basic stuff like actually being polite to staff in takeaways when you go and pick up, not harassing them, not pressing on them to like, where's my order, and just sort of shoving phones in their faces, pushing in front of customers, all that kind of stuff. It's not going to help. It's certainly not going to help the perception of delivery drivers if we behave like that. Be clean, have a clean sort of thermal bag if you can. I mean, it doesn't have to be brand new or anything, but the amount of sort of stinky, dirty bags that I see with delivery drivers, as a restaurant, I don't think I'll be that delighted that my food's going in there. And as a customer seeing it come out of there, I'm not sure I'll be super delighted as well. So I don't think that's probably going to help the perception of delivery drivers. You actually have a thermal bag as opposed to just a little bag or whatever it is that some people tend to cart around when they go into places. Just don't be a dick. Be smart, don't be a dick. And to be honest, you're going to make more money that way anyhow. You're going to probably get better tips and you're going to get served quicker than if you're pushing people around and getting annoyed with them and shouting at them. They're just going to make you wait longer, generally. I mean, I certainly would. If I was working in a takeaway and some bastard was shouting at me to get the order in front of them, I would be like, right, that guy's waiting. And sort of dress. I mean, I'm not saying you need to dress. You certainly shouldn't be wearing a suit or anything like that. But just basic, cleanliness and clothing, I think, can also be helpful. And show understanding and sympathy, particularly in shop and the takeaways. I do try to sort of let them know that I'm not rushing them, because I think sometimes they feel really rushed by delivery drivers. And delivery drivers are often sort of, hey, give me my order. And sometimes I can sense that they're getting increasingly annoyed by them. Sometimes I'll come in to a shop or a supermarket, and clearly the driver before has been quite demanding, and you could sense their sort of irritation with me because of the previous driver. I remember I went to a supermarket once, I think it was a Co-op, and the guy was like, yeah, all right, it's going to be ready. I'm like, all right, mate, you can just take your time. It's all right. It's ready when it's ready. And you can see he sort of calmed him down a bit, but he did say, he goes, well, the guy before me was getting so annoyed with me, and I was like, it's okay, I think if we all just, take a beat, slow down, it can be really helpful. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I mean, there are occasions where I do get annoyed with people in shops, but if I do get annoyed, I feel it's with some purpose if they've been really rude and aggressive. And I think that's the sort of other part of the triangle square that I'm trying to describe here is the people working in the takeaways. Now, let's be absolutely realistic and honest. The vast majority of people working in these places like McDonald's, Burger King, etc., they are teenagers, etc., on minimum wage, asking them to love their job and show diplomacy and politeness and professionalism is probably asking a little bit too much, and I'm not really expecting that. But if a delivery driver treats you with respect and politeness, then likewise, don't just assume everyone is a complete arsehole who's going to sort of snap at you and try to sort of snatch the food out of your hand. In my experience is, again, vast majority of delivery drivers are really decent folk. Just trying to earn a bit of extra cash. But I think it's less perhaps to do with the actual people working in these places. It's the owners of them who, I think, tend to set the mood for how to treat delivery drivers. And I think if there's a general sort of disdain towards them, mate, you can't. What's going on? What's going on, buddy? Buddy. This is where I should perhaps, mate, what's going on? It's okay. Sure, it was important. That's all right. Not sure what was going on there. Was it an argument or was it? Don't know. Don't know what was going on. A contretemps? Little moment of disagreement. If there was a taxi driver involved, almost definitely. Ooh. All right, buddy. Just give us a sec. Give us 1 minute. I'm getting there. 34. There you go, sir. Have a good one. See ya. All right, this next one is literally just 1 minute away. It's excellent. I thought it was going to be a bit of a hike to this next one, but it's just around the corner from each other. All right. Ooh, I wonder if I could just park on the thing. Hi there. Just 1 second. Oh. Yeah, not too bad. How are you? Oh, let me just get these out for you. There's 2 of these. There's your first one. And there's your second one. Have you got your code? 21. Thank you so much, Charlotte. Have a great evening. All right, that one was done. I've got another order straight in, another £8 order from a burger place, from a Maison de Burger. It's got a French sounding, but apparently, according to one of my students who I teach, who's Syrian, this is a Syrian run joint. Let's go and pick that up. So yeah, coming back to the issue of sort of takeaways and restaurants, it is often sort of the owners, I think, who do dictate how sort of delivery drivers are treated, and you can kind of see it sort of filters down. If the owner, who often is there working there, is nice to them, then the staff will be as well, and kind of how they're sort of shunted about. There are some places that force you into the bins around the back and stuff like that, and get very irate with you when you sort of attempt to come into the restaurant or the takeaway. And I've been in a few places where the sort of general tone from the people owning the place has been bloody awful, where they're sort of barking orders at the delivery drivers. Again, if the delivery drivers are being arseholes, then fair enough. They've got every right to have a go at them. But if they're not, then don't treat them like they're idiots and school children. Again, you chose to have these services. Okay, you may not like having these services, but that was your decision. Don't get all arsey with the people who are then picking up the food to make you extra money through Uber Eats and Deliveroo. I know often they're quite pissed off about the slice that these companies are taking, and they would prefer not to have them. They much prefer just to serve sort of walk-in customers or customers in the restaurant. But they know they have to do the delivery services. And try to have a bit of understanding of what the working situation is of delivery drivers, where essentially sort of time is money. In essence it is. Every second we're stood waiting for an order is us kind of losing money. So the ideal situation is we get in and the order is ready. Pick it up, go straight out. That's the ideal situation. We know that's not often the case. We know that often orders are not ready and we do have to wait. It'd be great if restaurants and takeaways and stuff were a bit more honest about how long things are going to be. Because often they'll just throw out, yeah, we'll be a couple of minutes. And they know it's not a couple of minutes. They know it's like 10 minutes in reality. And for us, 10 minutes is an eternity. And it would be easier for us to just cancel the order if it's going to be 10 minutes and go and find something else and let someone else pick that up later. So absolutely try to be honest about how long something's going to take. You probably do know. I mean, you've worked there long enough. So if you think it's probably going to take sort of 8 to 10 minutes, then do say that. Don't say 2 minutes, knowing that it's not. Because we all kind of hang around thinking that it's going to be ready soon, and you know, getting increasingly frustrated. And that's when, you know, tempers tend to get lost a little bit. Where am I going to park? Where am I going to park to pick up the maison de burgers? Is there anywhere? Oh, let me just park opposite. There it is over there, Maison de Burger. They're nice folk in here. Again, we can kind of see as we go around just how decently or not so decently people treat us. And, you know, you let us know. And, you know, like I said, I'll always try to be polite to them. And all right, buddy, how's it going? Have you got order 194? 194. 194, yeah. Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Yeah, I will. Do you need to see it? No, that's okay. All right, let's go off to this. It's a bit further than I thought. I thought it was going to be about 4 miles, but in fact it's about 5 miles. So it's a sort of £8.50 for about 6 miles, I would say, in total. It's not a fantastic order, but, you know, livable. It's at least beyond. It's about 1.5 miles per, well, 1.5 pounds per mile, which is bearable, let's say. So yeah, other part of the equation, the customers. Now, generally, I haven't had too many issues with customers. I think the biggest issue is customers getting aggressive when you ask for their ID for, you know, alcohol or cigarettes or vapes or something. Which again it's frustrating because they are told that they're supposed to have ID, and I know that probably a lot of the delivery drivers who came before didn't ask for it, and so this may be the first time. So they're wondering why suddenly they're being asked to do that. I get it. I mean, that's partly on us. We do, you know, we need to make sure we're asking for ID as much as possible. But again, we're not doing this for our benefit. It doesn't give us pleasure to ask you for your ID. Trust me. We know that, you know, there's a great chance that you're going to sigh and huff and puff and, you know, in some cases get belligerent and aggressive about the whole thing. I think particularly if the person's quite old, they're like, why the hell do I have to show you ID when I'm, you know, 65 or whatever? Which, again, I understand. Again, not our choice to ask you for ID. Not our choice. So you can kind of get angry, but the people you should be angry with are Deliveroo and Just Eat. It's not us, and we don't represent them. We do work, well, we don't even work for them. We're sort of contractors, really. And we're just following the protocol they've set down and the rules that we're supposed to follow regarding, you know, restricted items. So there's no point getting pissy with us about it. You know, that comes back to the story I said at the beginning about a guy getting, you know, spat at because he wouldn't give him the alcohol. So, you know, if you're a customer, do bear that in mind, you know. Like I said, we don't represent the company. We're just following procedure. Given the choice, we would love to not ask for your ID, trust me. The big problem from our perspective is that these companies do sort of random checks. And we're not sure exactly how they do them. There's this idea that they do sort of secret shoppers where they have, or they ask customers to you know, check whether the delivery driver asks for ID. I don't know if they give them sort of free booze or, you know, discount or something. I don't know. But so we have to be incredibly wary about letting it slide in case the person is you know, on a bonus from Deliveroo for doing this. You know, and in the end, it could mean us losing our job for them, or losing any work we can do for these companies. If we let you have alcohol and we don't check properly and we don't see the ID and get the date of birth and stuff like that. So for the sake of sort of, 30 seconds of inconvenience for you, potentially you could lose someone their job, which, it's not going to do you that much harm to just go and fetch your ID if you've got it. Another thing on the sort of the time issue, it'd be great if customers did actually just sort of come out, on time when we arrive with the food. I mean, we're not expecting you to sort of jump out and be waiting at the door for us. But there are times when it seems like the customers are absolutely baffled that someone's turned up with food for them, even though they ordered it. I mean, they may be drunk or something, but or stoned. But there are times when you sort of knock and you're knocking and ringing the doorbell, and clearly they've either fallen asleep or they've gone to have a shower, and then you can't get them out. And, again, it's all time is money for us. If you don't answer the door and you don't come and collect the food, we have to wait obligatory 7 minutes, I think. Which is a long time, trust me, standing outside someone's house 7 minutes. Students particularly, I love you dearly, students. I really do. You're great customers. So many orders are from students, but if you're on floor 8 and you have to get down to meet us, maybe set up a bit early. Because often when we arrive at student accommodation, we say, oh, well, I'm here, and they're like, yeah, we'll be down. And then it takes them sort of 5-10 minutes to haul themselves down the stairs or down in the lift. Again, the sooner you can get down there, the better from our perspective. Like I said, vast majority of customers I deal with are really decent, really nice, really friendly. Just, sometimes dealing with ID and sometimes just not really getting out there on time, particularly if you're in a block of flats or something. At the same time, if you need us to come up to your flat, then that's fine as well. And this comes back on delivery drivers. I've talked to a few delivery drivers and they're like, yeah, I'm not walking up those stairs. And it's like, well, that is the job. The job is to deliver to their door. The whole point a lot of the time for these people is that they don't want to get out of their house. They don't want to put on clothes. They don't want to, look presentable to go and grab food. So by having it delivered right to their door, they don't need to bother. So rocking up and then saying, well, can you come down to collect it? Might be taking the piss a bit. I mean, it depends. I mean, often they will say, like, we'll come down and collect. Often you can't even get in the building sometimes. And I think sometimes some of these higher end apartment blocks, they don't want delivery drivers sort of knowing how to get into the building. I think they would prefer it to be collected outside. So that's fine as well. But if you want it brought to the door, absolutely say so. You've got every right to complain if they don't. Because that's our job. And it doesn't matter if it's like 10 flights of stairs or something, that's the job. I'll do it. That's what we signed up for. If you think you're going to have to walk up 10 flights of stairs with, 4 bags of shopping, then either don't accept the order or, do it in shifts or something. Hello. There you go. Have you got your code? 18. Thank you so much. Have a great evening. Bye-bye. All right, let's head back into Sheffield and see what we can pick up. I made about 19 quid, I think, in maybe about an hour, which is not too bad. I'm not suggesting it's my pleasant demeanour that caused all that. Just, Saturday night and it's busy. All right, picked up another order from Miller and Carter Steakhouse. It's another 8-pounder. It's 3 miles to the restaurant. Not really sure how far. It's a bit difficult to have a look at because I'm on a dual carriageway. I had to kind of stab at it quickly, and I just accepted it. But we'll see when we get there just how far it could be. It could be an absolute shocker. I mean, I can always cancel if it really is terrible. So yeah, so the other people obviously involved in all this are the companies themselves. Just Eat, Deliveroo, Uber Eats. In the end, from my perspective, they offer me the opportunity to do this job. And it's a job that allows me to pick and choose when I come out. So on that level, I think that's, you know, what they offer is great. But as with all sort of companies, I suppose, there is this, it feels like there's this ever increasing sort of race to the bottom. How much can they, you know, milk the workers and milk the customers out of as much money as possible? You know, pay us as little and pay them, and get the customers to pay as much as possible for the services they're getting. You know, and I've seen that in the last few years. You know, obviously the hope would be that you know, fees would go up. You know, as the standard of living, cost of living, affordability crisis, all of those things happen. The amount we earn would go up, but you know, that hasn't been the case. And certainly, you know, I've noticed quite a drop off in what I say the sort of the hourly rate. Yeah, tonight I'm doing okay. It's you know, 18, 19 pounds an hour, and you can probably always do that on the weekends. But during the week, yeah, a definite drop off. You know, I think Uber Eats especially is there's been a very noticeable reduction in the fees, and I think, you know, in the past it was rare to see something which was less than £1 for 1 hour. That does seem to be the norm now. In the past, it used to be like, maybe like £1.25, £1.50 for 1 mile. Sorry, per mile, not hour. Now it's £1 per mile most of the time, and sometimes even less. So you're getting sort of £8 for 9 miles, or, you know, £4 for 5 miles, and it's, you know, this is sort of shocking pay, really. And I think what they're relying on is all these kind of promotions and quests as an incentive to sort of, as a sort of you know, to offset those reduced fees. Where is Miller and Carter? So there's a place called Valley's Entertainment. It's a kind of a leisure complex in Sheffield. It's got, you know, cinema, bowling, all that stuff. Where is? I wonder if it's down here somewhere. Can I? Oh, there it is. I wonder if I can park it. I probably shouldn't park here, but I'm going to do it. My first time here. First offence, maybe. We'll see. I'm curious to see actually how far this is going, because I really didn't look carefully. Is that 8397? That's the one, okay. There you go. Thank you. You too, bye-bye. See? Pleasant people. Pleasant people. Friendly, nice. If you behave with a little bit of decorum, people are happy. All right, where the hell are we going? Oh, we're going to Chapel. That's actually not too far. I should have no idea how far this is. Let's have a look. 6, 7 miles. All right, this is a massive mistake. But what the hell? I think it's actually going to take that long. It's only going to take 15 minutes. So, you know, £8 in 20 minutes in total, probably. It's not bad. You do 3 of those an hour. You're laughing. I mean, not laughing, but chuckling. All right, let's go and drop this off. It's 7 miles. Look, folks, I made a bit of a boo-boo with this one. Even after 3 years, I regularly miscalculate how far some of these distances are. So yeah, so I think these companies, Deliveroo and things, they're relying very heavily on these sort of quests and promotions and all these sort of gamified elements to a certain degree sort of hide the fact that their fees are getting lower and lower. You know, Uber Eats have been doing this thing where it's like, you know, what was it, £50 for 50 orders or something in a week. So if you're from sort of Sunday to Sunday, if you do 50 orders, you get an extra 50 quid on top of the fees you get for each of the individual orders. But there's a lot of sort of gambling psychology here, and it's sort of okay. They know that what's going to happen is that drivers are just going to take shittier orders to try to get to the 50. Obviously, they want more people to accept orders from them and accept them quicker and deliver them quicker, etc. And by doing these promotions, they get that. But I think in the end, it's probably economically less viable for the drivers to just have better paying orders than to have shitty paying orders and have to take loads of crappy orders to try and get this extra sort of promotion or bonus. Or they'll put on these extra promotions as well at just certain times of the day to encourage people to come out. Again, I understand there are certain surge periods of the day, in the evenings or like during the World Cup when matches are on and things like that. So they'll put on promotions. But again, often it does seem like, well, yeah, we'll put on these promotions, but then rest of the time, the fees are going to be pretty shitty. So best come out when the promotions are on. And then you're competing with a lot of other drivers at those times. They just want to sort of flood the market at that point with as many drivers as possible to ensure that all the the World Cup beers are delivered, and I know the McDonald's are going to everyone on a Saturday night or whatever. So I mean, I'm not trying to be too cynical about this. But if you want us to be less cynical about the company and to do a better job for you, then do treat us with a bit of respect. Don't treat us like we're some sort of Las Vegas gambler. I mean, the job is perilous and uncertain enough as it is. You don't need to add even more uncertainty and sort of gamified elements to it to make us feel even worse about ourselves. For goodness sake. Oh, I'm going on the M1. That's nice, isn't it? It's not often you get out on the M1 when you're delivering. I think it's a relatively short M1 journey, but still. Oh, it's windy. Oh, bloody hell. I can feel it. I can feel it. It always feels weird to be on a motorway when you're doing deliveries. I think people think he's lost his way. He doesn't know where he's going. He's got on the wrong road. Who's he delivering to? Who's this idiot? 'Tis me. I'm the idiot. Here we go, people. Here we go. Going to Leeds or Barnsley. Don't take the wrong turn in. Could end up bloody miles away from Sheffield. Just to clarify, I do have a full motorbike license, so I am allowed on a motorway. And this bike is powerful enough to go on here as well. I think it's fairly rare to see a delivery driver on the M1. Ooh, it's windy. Still, this is quite fun. I can pick up a bit of speed as well on the bike. I can go up to 70. Come on, buddy, let's go. Let's do it. I know people are probably thinking, where's he delivering to? That must be a long order. All right, we're coming off at the next junction, thankfully. I mean, I can really feel it. I can really feel the wind. Yeah, it's kind of important to make sure you don't miss your junction, otherwise, you could be on a massive detour. Hello. Oh, let me just get this out for you. There you go. Thank you. Have you got your code? Yeah, it's 80. 80. Thank you so much. Have a great evening. Bye. All right, that's dropped off. That was another £8 made. doubt I'm going to be getting many orders out here, which is in a sort of quite a distant suburb of Sheffield. There's maybe a few supermarkets and stuff around, but I doubt I'll be getting too much around here. So let's start heading back in. As we're going back into Sheffield, carry on just chatting a little bit about these delivery companies. I think the other thing they've started to do a lot is stacking orders. When I first started doing it, I tended to get mainly sort of individual orders. It was just one customer, one pickup, drop off. Sometimes you get doubles where you'd pick up from 2 restaurants and stuff. So that was it. And then at a certain point, I don't know, maybe about a year or so ago, they introduced the sort of the 3 orders as well. And obviously for these companies, it's more economically profitable for them to have one person doing 3 orders, because they can kind of slice off bits along the way from the fee to the driver. They sell it to us in the emails and promotions as, hey, we're giving you more opportunities to earn more money. And it's like, well, no, technically you're not. You're just forcing us to do more deliveries, possibly for less money. I mean, the thing with doing 3 orders as well is that, firstly, it's not great for the customer. If you're order 3 in that list, and what often happens is, let's say I pick up 3 orders. I pick up a McDonald's, a Burger King, and a Pizza Hut or whatever. And I pick them up in those orders, McDonald's, Burger King, Pizza Hut. And then when I go and do the deliveries, based on the sort of geography of where everyone's located, and maybe some people have paid for sort of priority delivery, the McDonald's gets delivered last. So it was first into the bag and last out of the bag. It could be sort of 45 minutes plus before you're seeing that order. And it's been sat sort of steaming away in a thermal bag that whole time. Getting colder, getting damper, losing flavour. So it's not great for the customers as well. So, I'd love to see them ditch, particularly these sort of stacked 3 orders. Because again, they say, well, look, it's a great opportunity. You can sort of get paid 3 times. Well, you're not, because that's not how they work it out. Because an individual order has to have a certain sort of base rate. When they do the sort of these stacked orders, then these extra orders don't seem to have the same rate. Just the whole deal of sort of dignity and respect in work, and how it does get kind of chipped away by everyone, really, by all aspects. And it's, at a certain point, you've got to say, well, okay, if everyone just held up their bargain just a little bit, it would be so much better. If delivery drivers were a bit more conscientious, took a bit more pride, if the shops and takeaways, treated the delivery drivers better, if the customers were kind of more aware of the importance of time to your driver, and if the big, tech companies running these platforms didn't just find more and more ways to kind of slice things up so that drivers get paid less and less, that would be fantastic as well. It all sounds a little bit doom and gloom. It's not meant to be, because, like I said, a lot of the time it's a good job. But it feels like it's just been a bit sort of eroded, little by little. And I wish it wasn't. See, like orders like this. £5.93 for 6.6 miles. Why would you do that? Why would you? And so look, it says this, another driver matched to it. People were taking these orders. And obviously, you can't stop people taking them. You can encourage them not to take them. I take them occasionally if I'm a bit desperate and I haven't had an order for a while. And so there's obviously always drivers willing to take these orders. But, I will try to reject as many of the crappy ones as possible, like £4.30 for 4 miles, Again, on a Saturday night, I'm not going to take that kind of order. Not worth it. Okay, I'm going to do this one. It's a 780 order. It's 2 orders. Not quite sure how far they're going, but it's probably the best looking order I've had for a bit. So 780, 2 different restaurants. a chicken restaurant and then a Japanese one, I think. So let's go. All right. The first one's only less than a mile away. It's sort of like a food hall called the Cutlery Works, and it's a fried chicken place within there. Oh. All right, mate. Is Dodo fried chicken upstairs or downstairs? Do you know? Dodo fried chicken. Yeah. Oh, that's perfect. Thank you, sir. That's fine. That's fine. I'll be over here. I'll wait. It's a pretty cool place, isn't it? There we go. Let me just scan that. That's all right. No problem. All right, let's get off to this second order, which is about 1.5 miles. It's sort of in the city centre. I do feel I've been a bit unrelentingly sort of negative, but that's not my intention. I mean, I really do enjoy doing this job, and hello. Oh, let me just put that there. Is it that one? 84873. Let me just scan that. You can see that there. Thank you. Bye-bye. I mean, there has to be something intrinsically interesting about this job in that there are people, watching videos of me and other people doing it and delivering food, and people are curious about what it involves and stuff that happens when you're out and about. You just might be interested in the city that the person's in, or you might want to do this job yourself, or just curious about the life of a delivery driver. Not every work or job is photogenic enough to have people watching it on YouTube. I don't think there's many accountants probably who could record their day and rack up views on YouTube. I mean, I can't exactly rack up a huge number of views, but a few at least. There you go. Cheers. Have you got your code? 82. Thank you so much. Have a great day. All right, the next customer's just around the corner. He's just half a mile away. 3 minutes. Nice quick one. Knock off this 8-pounder. It has started to rain a bit, so we might call it a day. Oh. All right, buddy. There you go, sir. Thank you. Have you got your code? Yeah, it's 30. 30. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Oi. All right, people, I've done that one now. That brings us up to about £33 in, I don't know, 2 hours and 15 minutes, which is not fantastic. Probably like £13-14 an hour, which, on a Saturday night, you would expect better, but it does sometimes happen. You get a kind of a shitty order that goes a long way, and that it really sort of cuts into your profits. The rain's started to come down quite heavily now. I'm not sure if that's showing up on the camera, but I think I might start making my way home. Hasn't been the most profitable evening, but this happens sometimes, and it's all right. Such is life. It's all part of the little sort of warp and weave of being a delivery driver, really, is that you're never quite sure how much you're going to make and whether it's going to be a good night or a bad one. And that's one of the aspects of the job you just got to sort of accept. And if you don't like that uncertainty, then it's definitely not the job for you. And I hope you've enjoyed being along with me this evening. It was a bit of a more serious tone, wasn't it? Goodness. I think it was just that, hearing about that guy being spat on did make me think a little bit about, there does need to be a bit of respect. And if everyone plays their part, if everyone just takes a breath, realises that we're kind of all in this together, all the people who were part of this, just, take a step back and realise, look, it's all right. It is just food. And getting angry with each other and snapping at each other is not going to help. And if we all just pause, take a breath, show a bit of politeness, then it can be a decent job, and it can be a nice old experience for everyone. I know this is this foggy kind of optimism and Pollyanna vision of the world. No, it's not rooted always in reality, but just an awareness of what the stresses and strains from all the different sides are, and being aware of those, I think, can make people behave a bit better sometimes. Oh, you'd hope so, anyhow. But anyhow, I'm sure the next time I'm out, I'll be talking my usual guff, trying to be funny. But until then, wherever you are in the world, whatever you're doing, whatever day, time, week, month, year it is, I hope you have a damn fine one. And I hope the weather's better where you are than it is here, because it's pretty grim. But hey, that's the north of England for you. All right, speak to you soon. Bye-bye.